to read the Storm book today. So today's author is Charlotte Zolotow, and our illustrator is Margaret Bloy Graham. When we look at the cover here, we see a little boy and a little white dog sitting at the porch of their house, the front porch. I see this tree, which seems to be being pushed to the side, maybe by the wind, and I see the little boy looking up at the gray clouds. So that tells me maybe he's watching a storm roll in. It's not quite there yet, but maybe the wind is picking up and the clouds are getting darker, and maybe a storm will be there soon. So in this book, they're going to talk about storms and what they look like in different landscapes, like the seashore and the mountains. And I want you to think about what storms look like where you're from. What does it look like outside? Do you have big tall trees that sway a lot? Do you live by the water and you can see the waves pick up with the wind? Does it thunder a lot where you're at? Things like that. It is a day in the country, and everything's hot. The grass looks dry and parched. The buttercups are sticky with dust, and the daisy white petals look gray, and all the flowers, the rambler roses climbing up the gate, the hollyhocks leaning against the house, hang limply on their stems. The little boy can almost see the heat quivering up like a mist from the earth. A little caterpillar climbs carefully up a dusty blade of grass and then climbs down again. There is a special hot stillness over everything. The white fox terrier has crawled under the latticework of the porch and lies sleeping in the shade. Even the birds seem too hot to sing, for there's not a sound among the leaves. So buttercups, daisies, rambler roses, hollyhocks, those are all types of flowers they're describing to you. And the lattice work of the porch just means the pattern that's in the porch fence. So there we have a picture of everything they just described. We see this big bright sun beating down. We have the little boy in the field of flowers they described to us. Here's his house. But the hazy sky begins to shift, and the yellow heat turns gray. Everything is the same color, one enormous, listless, gray world where not a breath stirs and the birds don't sing. There isn't the slightest motion of a branch, the slightest whisper of a breeze. And still, there is something expectant in the growing darkness, something astir, something soundless and still for which the little boy waits. He waits and he sees dark clouds beginning to form, throwing their shadow over the parched fields, moving one after another until they cover the sky and the world is black as night. A little cool wind suddenly races through the trees, sways the rambler roses, and bends the daisies and buttercups and Queen's Anne's lace and the long grass until they make a great silver sighing stretch down the hill. Then it happens. Shooting through the sky like a streak of starlight comes a flash so beautiful, so fast, that the little boy barely has time to see the flowers straining in the storm wind. "Oh, Mother," he calls, "what was that?" Do you see how they use the same S sound in all of these words? Silver sighing stretch, and we have streak of starlight. That's called alliteration, when the first sound is repeated over and over again in all the words. And here we have a picture of what he was describing. That storm is really picking up. You see those really dark clouds. The wind is hitting those trees. If you can see down here, the flowers are being bent by the wind. And we have the little boy calling out to his mother, wondering, what is that? What is that big flash of light in the sky? "Lightning," his mother answers, "that our own lamplight comes from." The little boy thinks of the lamp in his room with its warm golden glow, and he thinks of the lightning flashes through the sky. The lightning was like a wild white wolf running free in the woods, and the lamp like the gentle white terrier who came when the little boy called. And now somewhere beyond the hill comes a great rolling room of thunder. What was what was that? The little boy shouts. Rain clouds breaking against each other. That's the sound they make, his mother says. Now there's a silence again, and in the dark world, stillness, and then the whole sky lights up in one blinding, starry flash of lightning. The sky darkens again as the thunder draws closer, rolling loudly nearer, until, with a sudden explosion, it crashes overhead until a silver torrent of rain slants down. The daisies bend almost to the ground under the tearing weight of the wind, and the rain sweeping over the rambler roses and trees as they toss in the cool, huge arms of the storm. We have some more alliteration over here. Wild white wolf, white woods. We have the w sound. Here's a picture of the storm at the little boy's house. It's really picking up now. You see that rain coming in slanted because the wind is pushing it so hard. We have the little mom and the boy in the window right there watching. We can see how much this tree is being swayed over to the side. It looks like a really heavy storm. Miles away, in a storm-darkened city, the young man closes his book and gets up to look out the window. Below him on the street, the lighted store windows shine in the wet sidewalks, and every flash of lightning shows people running by, newspapers over their heads, or umbrellas held down in front of them to buffet the wind and the rain. The tops of the tall buildings look cut off by the storm darkness, and the little city trees strain at their roots in their loop-fenced circles, and the wind whips the leaves from their branches. The automobile tires make a swish-swishing sound as they pass. So here we have a picture of the storm rolling into the city. Again, we have that like slanted rain. You see the automobiles or the cars running around the road. Maybe their tires are kind of sliding on the wet road. We have all these people with umbrellas over their heads, and you can really see how dark the sky is getting in this city. At the seashore, an old fisherman stands boot deep in the waves, and the wind and the rain splatter against his oilskin with a terrible beating sound. His face is wet with sea spray and rain. When the thunder roars, nothing else can be heard, not the wild splashing of the black waves, nor the drive of the rain against the oilskin. It seems as though there's nothing in the world but the tremendous, ear-splitting room of the thunder, followed by a streak after streak of cloud-rendering light. Once the lightning flashes, a little brand sandpiper skips across the sand on his way home, so swiftly that he is gone before the light leaves the sky. So here we have a picture of that seashore getting hit by this storm. We have a little bird here, that's our sandpiper in the sand. We have him trying to get his boat all docked on the sand. We have a lighthouse in the background. You can see the dark sky and the rain, and you can imagine these waves getting taller and taller as the wind picks up. In the mountains, the rain comes down like a waterfall. Each crash of thunder sounds as though the rocks of the mountains were splitting apart, but each flash of lightning shows them solid and quiet against the sky. A young husband herds his sheep to the shelter. His wife looks out the window at the storm-torn hills while their baby sleeps quietly in her arms. So here we have her. We have mama and baby and dog watching the mountains through their window. They seem nice and cozy in their house. Way off in the distance, we have the dad herding those sheep, getting them in their pens before the storm really hits. And we have a little picture of what the hills usually look like on a sunny day compared to a stormy day. The rain drives against the windows of the little boy's house. It beats a loud tattooing pit-patting on the roof, and the wind rising and falling in the trees sounds like the sea breaking against the shore. Slowly the storm subsides. The sky begins to brighten, and the thunder rolls away. And only from afar, far off now, can the little boy hear the room as the wind blows the great clouds away from the cool, wet land. The loud pit-pat-pitting on the roof grows softer, and slowly becomes a dull pit-a-pat, pit-pit-pit, and at last stops altogether. The air is clean and fresh and smells of wet earth and growing things. The rambler roses have covered the ground with a shower of wind-driven, sweet-smelling petals. The daisies are still bent from the weight of the rain, and their moist white petals cling together. But already the buttercups are standing straight, fresh, and glistening, with one clear raindrop cupped in each shiny yellow blossom. The queer yellow light spreads over the earth now, so faint, so fine, so beautiful, that the little boy lets out his breath with a soft, whistling sound. And suddenly, all the birds break into song. The glistening wet trees are loud with sharp, quick titterings and long, full note calls. Here and there in the sparkling grass, a quick brown sparrow pecks around looking for worms. The light covers everything now. The house, the hollyhocks, the great stretch of grass, the trees, the fresh, cool face of the little boy who stands in the doorway watching. "What's that?" he suddenly calls to his mother. She comes to the door and looks through the yellow light to a great, curving, misty arch of color. What do you think that is? A misty arch of color in the sky? Coming from farther than they can see, it bends across the sky, over the city, over the yellow storm-whipped sand, over the clean-smelling, bird-singing mountains, over the hill towards the little boy's door. And what they're describing is a bright rainbow. We see it over the little boy's house. We see all the plants we saw before, all the flowers and trees that were in the storm. Now everything is cleared up. The skies look clear. We have this beautiful rainbow. "That's the rainbow, little son, to show the storm has passed," said his mother. And she slipped her arm around him so gently he didn't notice, as he watched the beautiful sunlit colors arching over the world. And that is the end of the book. And I chose this book because I love storms. I love watching storms. I love sleeping when I can hear thunder and rain outside. I love the smell of the earth after it's rained. So I really love this book and how they described all the different landscapes during the storm, and of course the rainbow that always comes at the end of the storm. So I really hope you enjoyed reading with me, and bye!